Okay.
So today I'm Andrea.
I'm Hillary.
I'm a parenting coach, and
Yeah.
you introduce yourself.
Yeah. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology and been working the last 30 years with children, teenagers, and parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, today we're going to talk about how to help your child when it's time to transition off of screens in a way that that's your name.
Yeah.
That promotes connection as opposed to disconnection.
Yeah. That's something I love that you talk a lot about is connection. And, I think across the board, one of the questions I get all the time, I think we both do, is everything's great. And then they get on devices and I lose them. And it's never a smooth transition off, no matter what the discussion is. And it doesn't really matter the age. It can be very young to, let's say in the 17, 18-year-olds are struggle with it too. So I think today we're going to talk about why and what to do.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So a lot, yes, something that I hear from parents that it sounds like what you're hearing too is that as soon their kids are great and fine, and as soon as it's time to, they say it's 1 more minute or 2 more minutes time to get off, the kids just get completely dysregulated, a lot of meltdowns, and parents say it takes a long time to kind of get their kids back on track. And I hear about a lot of fighting about screens, and it's just an ongoing thing.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we have to kind of consider is there's a physical element to this that we don't often talk about. We have it ourselves. And when we don't address that, the real physical issue that goes on, I think it's easy to kind of look at our children as being manipulative or, just trying to get away with something that's not good for them. And then we get into these like big power struggles. Mm-hmm. So I think the physical is really important. For some, it's social. So we have to talk about that. And also, I'm not sure we understand, how to transition consistently.
I agree. Mm-hmm. So why, I just am curious what you think. Why do you think that transitions from screens are harder? You were talking about the physical. Are you talking about like the nervous system impact?
Yeah. I mean, we know our children have, their nervous system is still growing, right? Their frontal lobe is growing until their 20s. And so the kind of desire that they remember we did this yesterday. We remember we've had these conversations before. That's not necessarily going to resonate with them. And also just, technology has been set up to suck us in. And I liken this like for myself, I could be doing something, I'm finally using the phone to like decompress and just relax. And then I get interrupted. What do you want? And that's not who I would be if I was doing something else. Like if I was even just writing something, I might say, yeah, what can I do for you? There's this thing that we get locked in both because of our dopamine, and also the way the images are coming.
The stimulation.
Absolutely. It's quick. It keeps us engaged. It keeps us moving from the next thing to the next thing without any clear stop.
You know what I like about it? And you were making me think of this, it's this idea of, and you're saying about decompressing with it, it's low effort engagement. I just love that. It's like, and then when someone comes in the room and asks you a question, all of a sudden it's causing you to have to shift your brain in a way that even us with, solid temporal lobes, hopefully, or frontal lobes, have a hard time making that shift.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this sometimes. Literally, I'll say I'm doing research. I'm not doing research. I'm on Instagram. I'm like looking things up. But
right.
The fact is, it is a way to escape. It's a withdrawal that you somehow either feel like you're not doing anything or you are doing something. Mm-hmm. Even like if I'm shopping online, like putting an order in or something. Wait, what? Now where am I?
I need to get in.
Okay. So it's a little bit different than like if we're in a store or we're doing something in person. So I think we forget that. I also just want to say that one thing we really forget is depending on what our kids are doing, the way the games are set up is that they actually have to finish something often or they lose all their work. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but I'll lose my whole thing.
Right.
That actually is something. And so I often think sometimes we'll say, get off. I said now. And they're like, I have just worked. I've just got 7,000 points and I'm going to lose everything. Or let's say it's Minecraft and they've built the whole thing and they need to save it. And you'll hear them say that. That's actually how the games were set up. And so,
Interesting.
you know, I think it's something we have to kind of address and when we're asking them to quickly get off.
So we're asking them to quickly get off, and their brain, like if we achieve that, their brain experiences a big drop in stimulation.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a loss.
I would say a big drop in stimulation and a huge increase of being overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to say, like, if they're using technology to escape, and we're all doing it unconsciously. So I just want to like say, let's say your child comes home from school and you say, you're allowed 20 minutes of screen time.
Mhm.
And listen, there are many parents that don't allow their children on screen, so this doesn't apply necessarily, but you'll see these behaviors in other things as well. So I actually just think it's important that it's mainly devices that do a lot of this, but there's also sometimes, you know, it could be a card game, it could be basketball, it could be something else that your kid, they're wired to do the thing that pleases them, that interests them. So let's say, for example, that you say you get 20 minutes of screen time before you and a snack, and then you're going to do homework. So getting off the device also means re-entering into the thing that you didn't necessarily want to do or are not looking forward to it. I'd say the same thing for me. I hear a lot of parents will say, I go home and I close my eyes for 20 minutes. I go on a device for 20 minutes and then I cook dinner. Coming off of that device means I got to face the fact that I got to cook dinner
Right.
or I got to get into my night routine. So I also want to say that the transition might be re-entering into a space that you're actually trying to avoid
Right.
or draw from.
Well, there are things that we can do to help kids with that, but before we jump to that, I just so I want to go back to just like the nervous system piece.
Yeah.
So when we're telling them to get off, we're asking them a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe what I'm hearing is that we need to help them transition.
Yeah.
And have a little bit of like a buffer time between like, hey, it's time to get off your device and let's do homework now.
Yeah, I would almost liken it to their brain went offline when they go online. Right? And so how do we then bring their brain back online? A lot of this is unconscious. And that's why I do think we have a lot of power struggles and argument because the children don't really realize what's going on. And we're just seeing this out of control behavior or this holding on, the rigidity, right? The lack of flexibility. And it's really like the brain's offline. You're talking to someone who's not totally there and they might need some time to come back online. And every child has a different kind of formula in which to do that.
Right. And I think that also like there's just so many there's so many ways that can show up in kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the most mellow kids get actually aggressive and really like out of control when parents are trying to get them off of devices. And, you know, the parents are like, that's it. The devices are terrible. Yeah. And it's, you know, again, it's actually something maybe a little bit more complicated because they are not with you for some of that. It's often why kids will say, I didn't hear you. What do you mean you didn't hear me?
Right.
I was, you know,
I'm not with you.
I'm not with,
Right.
I didn't hear you, you know, and they hear, but they're not really online in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you think, in your opinion, I feel like you work with more kids than I do. Do you think some kids are more sensitive to this than others?
Absolutely.
That transition?
Yeah, I would say one thing is neurodivergence. Like if a child has regulation issues, so let's say like, you know, they've been diagnosed with ADD, they're very much geared towards doing preferred activities versus non-preferred activities. And they can focus for hours on that way. I think it's such a relief when they can stop having that conflict and they can just do what they like. So I think it's very hard for them. I think children that have anxiety, just a worry.
Yeah.
I think a hard day makes it like a relief to get out of your head. You know, and I think it happens to us, like just for whatever time you're on a device doing something you might enjoy, you you stop, you're not thinking, you're not worrying. And so I think those two things, I also just think in general, you know, boys use video games to socialize a lot. And so I'm curious sometimes of, you know, them wanting to do things so that at school the next day they can talk about it, feel like connected to others. And I think it's something we have to be kind of conscious of. Girls love chats and things like that, which are online, and certain games online, and it does give them a little bit of a social currency. So I think that there may be a little bit more susceptible to a child that doesn't care about that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we talked about the nervous system.
Yeah.
But I think so. When we ask a child to transition off of a device,
Mm-hmm.
and then we say the thing we want them to do, okay, you're
Mm-hmm.
done, go
Mhm.
now, go do your homework or go do your room.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge jump.
Mhm.
That's a big jump. So I like the idea of creating kind of a buffer expectation.
Yeah.
So some things that when I'm working with parents who are having this issue, that I'll say is, you know, give them, like, you'll set up the expectations beforehand, and we'll go over that in a minute.
Mhm.
But when you're telling them to get off, instead of just expecting that it's 1 minute and then go do your homework, maybe have a snack first, or hey, connect with them. Hey, tell me about what you were doing, or
Mhm.
you know, or now can you tell me something about your day? Some sort of a reset. Go outside, do a different activity,
Yeah.
read a book, jump, something.
So I want to mention that I think this is really important. We don't want to take away without replacing is one of the pieces, but also they're wired for reward. And so one of the things that's hard is devices give us reward, right?
Mhm.
They're getting rewards, whether it's points, whether it's I'm going to talk to my friends about it, whether it's a relief. So one of the things that you're talking about is what's a kind of a sort of reward, something preferred that they may like to do, that will comfort them in that way. So I think the snack is really important. I also just want to mention that transitions are hard neurologically for all of us. So then what's that transition? So for some kids, getting your attention and talking to you about the day is perfect.
Mhm.
For some, you want to go shoot some hoops. You want to have a jumping contest really quick. Like that's going to grab them and be
Right.
like, you're going down, you know? And so, okay, now I get a reward. And I just want to kind of mention, let's just go backwards to what we've all experienced. I need you off. I take the iPad. You're sitting there upset. I've stripped you of your rewards. I've stripped you of competency and control because that's what you had when you had your device. And now I have to go to work right away. And I've transitioned you without any kind of a buffer.
Right.
And I just want to say, like, we've walked the walk here. You know what I mean? This is not us, like, not having experienced this ourselves. So one of the things that I recognize with my own children is it's in those moments that I make the most incredible, like, punishments. I literally will be like, okay, that's it. We're never using devices, right? Over, okay, I will do it from afar, meaning I am not paying attention to the time. And then I'm like, you knew you needed to get off, right? But like, and so I'm doing it, I'm not really monitoring it. And then we look at them as not following a rule, but in fact, you know, as we said before, we're asking them to transition, we're asking them to give up control, and we're asking them to delete all rewards right there.
It's a lot of expectation.
With me coming in like a lunatic sometimes and being like, what's going on? These devices are ruining you. So I just want to say that for the record.
Well, I think another thing that you can do besides like buffering the expectations would be entering in with a plan.
Yeah.
So, right, you know, when this is getting started, when they want to go on the device,
yeah,
have it. That was distracting.
Yeah.
Have the expectation. So, hey, when the timer goes off, we're going to be done. And then we're going to have a snack so that there is an expectation going in.
That's right.
The other thing that I think you can do is let your child know that you're there to help them. Like, hey, time's up. It's time to get off. Do you need help transitioning something?
Yeah.
I think for a parent or whoever the caregiver is, to stay regulated yourself and not approach it in a sort of big way with big feelings and, hey, I said when the timer goes off it's done and then we're going to get off. You're not listening. You're never doing, like, that's not going to help. That's going to escalate your child.
Yeah.
I think one mistake that I see parents make, and or I hear parents make, is thinking that their child should just do what they're asking them to do without having a feeling about it. And a lot of times I think I say to them, yes, you're setting up the expectation. They think that then their child should just cooperate. But it doesn't always work that way. They may cooperate, but they may also protest. And that's part of being a kid, is pushing back. And so parents will often see that and feel like what they're doing isn't working, but it is working, and your child is just allowed to have a feeling.
I love that you're saying that, because one is, when we react to their feelings, we're actually not modeling to them how this works. You know, like, things are hard and we as adults have reactions, but we still will get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And so one is, I think we react that we did something wrong. Something's wrong with our child, because this is a reward. And I'm giving it to you with the understanding that I hear this all the time, you're mature enough to be able to get off the device.
Right.
And if you're not mature enough to get off the device, you shouldn't be using it. You know, this is an adult device, and if you can't act like an adult, but they're kids. And so I think it gives us an excuse not to be consistent as well. You know, one of the things I share is that my children had a timer for 18 minutes. And at 18 minutes, they knew that they had to get off of the device, take a 5-minute break, and then it was like either they could go back on or we were doing something else. But what that depended on was years of me at 15 minutes going and sitting by, hearing it with them and watching them and guiding them. Oh, what do we do right now? Oh, you got 2 minutes. Oh, that's the timer. And after a while, then they got it. But it was years of me being there, putting, you know, the proximity of it, walking them through it, not judging it. Well, I think this is when you get up and you go to the bathroom and you come find me, but you're right here. Oh, but what if I wasn't here? And so that consistently, you know, being modeled to them without a reaction, without, when you come to me, I'm taking the device away and never getting it back, right? Why would I do that? Right, exactly. And so that regulation you're talking about from us is what's very important. So I often have to ask myself, am I in a place where my kids can have a device without me reacting? Right? Mm-hmm. If I'm giving it to them because I'm stressed out, there's a good chance, right, that I'm giving it to them in a time I'm stressed. I'm going to take it back in a time that I'm stressed.
Right. And then in that dynamic, you're creating the power struggle.
That's right. That's right. The very thing we're trying to avoid, sometimes we create by not having a sense of where we're at, what are our values, how does this look? I also think, like, there's parenting, we can have like family meetings. Hey guys, this is what's going on. And I say they happen every year. Big meetings about technology, and then all through the year, like every Sunday, how are we doing? Are we reaching our goals? Where we're at? Right. I still think no matter the age, kids will be honest and open and say, I'm spending a lot of time doing this, or this isn't making me feel good. Or if they know that there's not the type of consequence that you're going to be reactive or take it away without it being a learning experience together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, and then when things come up, right, you can address them at these meetings.
Yeah, and you say, hey, we're having a technology meeting. What I like them once a year is I also like to look at school and what their obligations are. Like, what are the things that you want to accomplish every day? And then one of the things you want to accomplish is having device time. Okay, what does that look like? Mm-hmm. And the reason I say this is we're trying to raise future adults. And that is the child who will say, I'm not getting on my device. I have stuff to do. Mm-hmm. Like, that's our end goal. How do we get them there? And if we're constantly giving them a message, you need me to control what you're doing because you're out of control on the device, we're going to raise a child that feels,
Well,
a little more out of control.
right, and probably doesn't end up trusting themselves
That's right. That's right.
with that.
Yeah. I just want to also add one piece is that there are very few things in life that we would do without knowing about it and let our kids do it. So an example is if a child said, I'm going after school to this store. Where is it? I don't know. How long will you be there? Not sure. Who are you going with? A few people, and you don't know. We wouldn't do that.
Right. We wouldn't let them do.
We allow our kids to go on devices and do things and we have no clue. And being an immigrant, right, to these things is not really an excuse. So one thing I will also say is like, your kids actually want your attention and they want the reward of the device. Very few younger children, and actually middle schoolers as well, will not want you to watch what they're doing. They love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be a moment of connection, of interaction. It doesn't have to be just isolated.
That's right. And so what I think forget is there was a time where we watched television together and that was a huge thing. I ask us to kind of do the same thing, like spend some time, like seeing what it is. And if it's also saying, I'm going to join, let's give me a funny name so no one knows. And let me just and then we could talk about it.
Right.
And, most of the time they're trading memes and things. They don't call them memes anymore. I just aged.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
I didn't even know that.
No. But most of the time the stuff that they're doing is funny to them and, not offensive. And, they're just playing and this is their social space. And I think allowing that to be a place of connection and figuring out how to do that with each child is really important.
Yeah, I like that. I just want to address one comment that came in. I wonder, maybe you all can see it, but don't be afraid to be the sturdy parent that sets the rules and boundaries. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's very important. To hold them.
I want to share that I have a dear friend who took the phone away, video games from her teenage son. And she's like, it's a different child. And that's hard. That's hard. And to do it in a way that your child doesn't feel punished, and maybe they do, and maybe they still have big feelings, but to hold your own and feel like this is actually something important to me. You can do it in a loving and caring way. And I find with my older kids, I say things like, I sense you've been on your device a lot. What's going on? And I really get back. I know, I noticed it. And then, hey, did you notice I haven't been on as much, or I've been really more focused. I made a list of what I want to do. That kind of conversation of curiosity. I can still have our rules and boundaries, but also appreciate this is tough.
Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Active listener.
Yeah. Is that, that helping your child with these transitions that are often difficult, we need to stay connected.
Yeah.
Rules and boundaries.
Yeah.
Routines matter. Consistency matters.
And something you say all the time, even with all this in place, things can get crazy.
That's right.
And it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It actually feels like sometimes when we're doing exactly what needs to happen, our children need to have big feelings and react. And when we're calm, they actually grow.
Right. If we can stay regulated, then we can support them and say, hey, I know this is hard. I know.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there's a lot that we could do, but I know this is hard. And I see that you're having a hard time with it and you're not happy with my rule and it's time.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say to this is, whenever I can, use my own experience, all the time. I will say, someone take my phone from me. I'm having a problem right now. And they love that. Yeah. What's wrong? I'm like, I'm on a reward thing right now. I just must have felt like I needed a lot of rewards. So I just need someone to help me here.
We're always modeling.
Yeah, we're always modeling. And I do think the conversation when things are calm about who's behind these, one thing I always talk to my kids about is if it doesn't cost anything, how do these companies make so much money? And who's really the product, right? Is it, Minecraft or is it you? And then they start to have an understanding where I'll be like, they're getting me. They're sucking me in. And then I give them my phone and they're like, they got you, mommy. You know,
Yeah.
so that kind of conversation, again, like we go through it. I don't
Yeah.
want them to think at my
Right.
age, we still are going through it. And our brain, sometimes when we talk about the brain, it's a lot easier because it's not something I'm doing. It's
Mhm.
something that
Mhm.
my system is kind of like going through this. And so I really like it as a family. We're trying to make some good decisions, even though sometimes this is bigger than us.
I like that because then you're supporting each other. It's not like one person has the problem or
Yeah.
the kids have the problem.
One other thing I just want to mention from my years of kind of dealing with technology is I think it's really important we're open and honest with our children at a very young age of what we're doing on the phone. They don't understand it's a mini computer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they assume, and I work with first grade, kindergarten, but first grade through eighth grade on this. And when you ask, like, who's on their phone the most or who's on a device most, they'll say their parents.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Playing,
Right.
shopping, right? Well, how about on the phone? Yeah, with their friends.
Mm.
But do they work on their phone? Sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I like to be able to say, I've been on my phone all night working. I sure am tired. You know, I like to kind of clarify sometimes that it may look like I'm just playing a game the whole time. But I'm not.
Maybe.
No, but I know. The defensiveness. Yeah. But that is something because, you know, and when they see shopping, you're like, okay, but this is how I'm buying groceries. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right.
Anything else?
If there's no questions,
Yeah.
I think we'll.
How great on this blizzardy day.
I know. Is it?
Oh, it's
not?
okay.
Okay.
We're hopefully having a blizzard here. So this is actually very timely because you may have your kids home.
A little
Yeah.
extra screen time.
And they may have to do Zoom tomorrow.
That's right. Oh,
right?
so much screen time.
Yeah. So that's something also you to integrate. When are times that we actually are a little more flexible and when are times where we need to like actually plan a schedule for the day because we may be stuck.
I think our next live is going to be about flexibility.
Okay. From very flexible people. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.